Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. Here are your hosts, Oswin and Lord Night. Let's talk about egotism and authors.
All right.
Now, I don't know if these go hand in hand necessarily, but they do.
They do. So do podcasters and all sorts of other things.
Right. It's not just tied into authors.
No.
But yeah, there does seem to be among some popular YouTubers, podcasters,
Authors.
things like that.
Especially authors. I'll give that. Especially authors. Authors seem to be,
Yeah,
especially in the pagan community.
right. There does seem to be some egotism there where they're kind of putting off the air that they're better than everybody else. And
What started this was we were watching a video of an author complaining.
right.
And basically he was saying that he went to a store, a pagan store, to see if they would carry his book.
Right.
And the guy basically gave him a lecture and told him to leave, and now he was complaining about it.
Right.
Your view on this was what?
My view was pretty much that it wasn't that he was being egotistical. It was more of the response of the shop owner being rude about it. Not saying, well, the shop owner could have said, I'll review the book. I mean, we don't know what happened.
We don't know what happened. So I'm guessing that this scenario went along this way. He walked in, he said, hey, I got this book, blah, blah, blah. That probably the owner probably said something, well, for me to put it in my store, I'd like to review it or read it before I put it in my store. Thank you very much. Bye. And then the guy probably kept on pressing him a little bit farther than he should have. And then he probably got a lecture on protocol because he was bitching going, this guy then gave me a lecture on craft. And I'm an author. I don't need, there's my problem.
Right, but see, I didn't take it that way.
No. Here's my problem, and this might help you on this. My problem is when he says, I don't need a lecture. Apparently you do.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not the fact that he went to a store to say, hey, can you carry my book, blah, blah, blah. That I don't have a problem with. Does that make sense?
Right, because he's probably a self-published author, so he's having to do all his... I'm saying it's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
So he's having to do all his own marketing.
And on marketing, I don't have a problem with that. It's the attitude of, I read a book, so therefore I don't need a lecture.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the attitude I'm talking about.
Right. I can see where that comes from.
Yes.
And I can see how that is a definite issue because we have run across some people who are just like that.
Who's just, yes, that because I've wrote a book, therefore you're not allowed to question me. If you do, you're scum.
Right.
I will find a reason, and it's either because I'm a man or I'm a woman or I'm this or I'm that. It's never the fact of what you're actually saying or doing or your actual behavior.
Right.
All right? Because again, a lot of people don't understand this is protocol, all right? It's being polite. It's a certain way to behave and stuff like this. It's polite society.
Right.
It's not saying certain words in mixed company or polite company.
Right.
And a lot of people, I understand because what we came up in the whole time where you were taught to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am.
Oh, yeah,
But
absolutely.
at the same time, we were getting a little ruder too. Because again, people are now starting to realize, okay, just because you did something, just because you're in this position, just because you're a police officer, just because you're a cop, does not necessarily mean you automatically get my respect.
Right.
That you actually have to earn it. It's not given to you. It's not, automatically just because.
Right.
Even third degrees like myself, I have to prove to y'all all the time through my consistency, what I believe, and trying my best to be as consistent as possible.
Right.
So that way I become a reliable source. I show you that, yes, maybe I do deserve some of that respect, whatever. Some people probably don't think that. That's fine.
That's
I don't
a
have a
whole
problem
nother
with
topic.
it. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, yes, you should have to earn this. You don't get that respect for the validation of the fact that you just wrote a book.
Right.
And again, I have a problem with these. If it's the message that's so important, self-publish. Take these other corporations out of it, because then you can control the price better to where it's easier for people with less money to get your books.
Okay, but what can we do to erase the egotism, or maybe not erase, but lessen it? How can we humble some people?
Understand when I say this, I'm including myself on this.
Well, of course, yeah.
Don't put us on that pedestal. Stop. We're just people.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about about those who put themselves on that pedestal.
Oh, trust me, they need to come down real fast. And
How do you stop that?
you stop listening. You walk away. You don't buy their books. You quit giving them money.
True.
Because again, the majority of these people are just going to do nothing but pander and be nice and not say the hard stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, it's religion. Sometimes religious leaders say stuff that you don't like, don't agree with, or makes you mad or whatever. And we're going to continue to do that because spirituality is not niceness. It's growth. And growth does not come from doing nothing in a safe space.
Right.
You have to come out of there. You don't learn nothing in perfect balance. Things got to get a little cockeyed there for stuff to happen so you can learn how to deal with when things do go cockeye.
Right. Right. I mean, growing up, I grew up in a Southern Baptist church, and my pastor, he would always say, I'm fixing to step on some toes. And then he would proceed to say something that would upset some folks.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Bob over there drinks too much, and Sally over there's,
But it's the same concept. It's the same idea.
Right. Religious leaders, my point there is religious leaders, we're supposed to be there to, I don't want to say tell you the truth, but tell you the stuff you might not want to hear. To make you look at things in ways that you might not want to. Again, when, like the guy telling this story, I know in the back of my mind, he's making himself the hero of his story in his telling of it. Doesn't make it true or false or wrong or right. It's just the way he's perceiving the situation. Does that make sense?
Right. And I mean, if we could hear it from the shop owner's perspective, I'm sure it would be a slightly different story.
Right. It's the same story that you hear. I'm sorry, if anybody's done customer service longer than, I don't know, 15 seconds, you hear this all the time where you got a customer that gets mad at you and you're talking to your manager, and through this process you start to realize the customer's not seeing where you're trying to be nice.
No, of course not. No.
I was ringing up groceries one day somewhere when I was still a kid, and they got one of them fruit trays.
Oh, yeah.
And the bottom of them is not quite sturdy all the time. So I picked it up to move it, scanned it, and as soon as I did, the bottom fell out of it, and it fell all over the place.
Oh, Lord.
And all I could do was that nervous laugh. What did the woman go? Well, and he just thinks this is funny. No, I'm saying I fucked up, and I realized I did.
I'm a 16-year-old and I just dropped food. I'm gonna do something stupid like laugh.
Like laugh. I know it's inappropriate and stuff, but you've done that before. Inappropriately laughing.
Yes. Who hasn't?
But yet, at the time when you started to realize after what in the world went on, her view was different from yours of the situation. This is what we have to keep in mind. When you're sitting there and you're hearing these stories and stuff like that, there is a different view where you are the bad guy.
Right.
There are views out there where I am the bad guy. Great. Thank you so much. I love you too. I'm going to continue to be the bad guy for some people. But I think that's what they might need to actually grow. What do you think?
No, I think you're right. I mean, I don't see how anybody can grow if they're just being stagnant and always have people around them that are yes people.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just like being in a leadership position. You can't be an effective leader if all you have around you are yes people.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I sit here, I listen to certain podcasts and certain things, and I will sit here and I will get mad all day long while listening to that.
Right.
I mean, there's just certain people's voices. Yes, as soon as I hear it, I cringe. All right. But I still try my best to listen to what in the world they're actually saying.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because they are upsetting me, so therefore I need to listen a little bit closer. What are they actually saying? I mean, I'm missing something there.
Right.
A little self-awareness there helps a lot, huh?
It really does. It goes a long way.
I know. You know, especially when you sit there and you can look at people and go, yes, I'm being a dick. I say that a lot.
Yes, you do.
But it's so true.
Hey, if the shoe fits.
This seems to keep bringing up the whole entire concept of protocol.
Right. So let's kind of delve into what protocol is.
Well, let's start with, can we get a definition of the word protocol?
According to Merriam-Webster, protocol is an original draft, minute, or record of a document or transaction. It's also a preliminary memorandum, often formulated and signed by diplomatic negotiators as a basis for a final convention or treaty. A code prescribing strict adherence to correct etiquette and precedents, as in diplomatic exchange and military services.
There's what we're talking about. This sounds boring and all this other stuff. Protocol is actually its manners and politeness to show respect to other people.
Okay.
Me not, making sure that I don't use more colorful language in certain places and stuff like that.
Right, like you mentioned earlier.
Right. You don't want to go around saying cuss words while in the world in the presence of a bunch of, in the middle of a kindergarten.
Right.
You want to make sure you adjust your language to the setting.
Right. You don't want to go in, hey, kids, go home and tell your mom I said.
Hey, kids, want to be like me and put nails through your eyelids?
Thanks for that Eminem reference.
The only one I know. Because we all know alternative here.
Right. So, but what else does protocol do for us?
Protocol basically is how we interact with other temples and each other.
Okay.
An example of protocol. When you're coming for a ritual, the first person you normally say hi to are going to be the high priestess, then the high priest, then your elders and everybody else.
Right.
It's not like you're going to come in and like ignore all the first degrees and whatever when you're walking. You're going to say hey to them, whatever. But you're going to go hug her, maybe give her a kiss on the cheek and talk to her for a few minutes, then talk to the high priest for a few minutes. Then you can talk to everybody else.
Right. It's kind of like going in for a family reunion and you're going to meet and greet your grandparents
first.
Right.
Right.
And then you're going to make your way through everybody else.
Right. You might say hey to cousins and stuff as you're going through.
Right.
But you never actually stop and have a 2-hour conversation with them.
Oh, Lord, no. No, you're trying to make a beeline for the grandparents.
Right. Same thing here. Now, protocol also states how in the world members can transfer from one temple to another temple.
Okay.
Even outside of traditions. All right. So like if someone was an Alexandrian or a Gardnerian and they moved to our area, this is what they would do. They would contact us first. We would ask them for a letter of recommendation from their high priest and priestess. They would then write that letter stating their contact information so we could call them and verify.
Right.
The temple. And basically in that letter, all you're going to say is, this is the degree in which we've initiated them to, and this is what we've been training them up to this point.
Right. And if there's no degree, it's, hey, this is their role.
Right.
This is what they've been doing. This is what they've studied so far. It's something to tell us they are part of that group.
Right. Now, again, when it comes to like transferring traditions, it might be suggested that people take certain classes in the first degree lecture course.
Of ours. Okay, yeah.
Maybe not the whole thing, but certain ones so they know what in the world's going on. Circle casting, blah, blah, blah. It's just the mechanics.
Right.
Is more what you're trying to hit. You know, and even then that's up to the priest or priestess. They might just work with that person off to the side anyway, because that gets into a little weird thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is the way it's done. You don't just pop into a temple. You know what I mean?
Right. But now that also addresses whether or not, because somebody did ask this question, does that mean if they transfer to our group that they have to start all over? And I basically told them, no, we're not denying that that person did their studies. We're not denying that that person was not, initiated into whatever degree or anything like that.
We trust the other traditional temples to teach the basics.
Right.
That they're those common threads where we can look at them and go, hey, this is where we're like y'all on this and that, and sort of work with them.
Right.
So they feel just as comfortable with us as we do with them. All right? I mean, we've been to Ravenwood. Ravenwood is more ceremonial magic than us.
Right.
To a certain extent, and they do things way different, but they cast circle different than us.
Yes, they do.
But the feel of the circle's the same.
Right.
So I don't see where there's a problem there.
No.
If the circles felt different, that's when I would probably popping up going, questions. And can I practice this long enough so I look like the rest of y'all so I don't look like an idiot when I'm casting circle? And people going, what the hell's he doing?
What is that?
What is that? I mean, this is all protocol is. I mean, because y'all still have to remember, there are certain areas of the country, there are certain areas of people's lives and stuff like that, that they have to be careful who finds out that they're part of this religion.
Right.
There are people who work for family-owned stores and if they found out, they wouldn't have a job, but they love this job.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to follow these protocols to protect our members from each other,
right,
and themselves. Because I used to tell people, because I used to work at the local hospital, and I would tell people, oh, you start coming in there going, hey, night, running me down. You're not going to see me. I'm going to turn a corner and disappear like 5 seconds flat.
Right.
Because I know that hospital better than you.
I am not even going to acknowledge you are there.
Right. Because again, it's nobody. Religion to me is a personal, private thing. And people at work don't have to know.
No.
Like I have talked about this before. Yes, my boss knew. But I felt he needed to know because there were certain dates I kept on asking off for.
Right.
And he kept on looking at me going, do we need to talk about something? Yes, this is what I am. He's like, well, that's a whole lot easier. I'll just go ahead and just give me your dates ahead and I'll put them on my calendar.
Right. But like my coworkers, I don't feel like they need to know.
No.
I did have a lady ask me if I was religious, and because of a comment that I made about a reflection pool. But, I just simply told her, yes, but I'm not Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I told her, and the subject was dropped.
Don't have a problem with this. And I mean, the majority of people I've worked with, that's about as far as that conversation goes. Most people know at work you don't talk about religion.
Right. Again, it's a protocol.
It's that secretary that every time y'all go on break together, prays, and everybody just gives her moment or two of silence.
Right.
And politely. It's not like she's sitting there going, hey, everybody got to hold hands now. Everybody has to pray. What do you mean you're not Christian? Here, let me get my water and just anoint you right now. The power of Christ.
Right.
But that isn't what happens.
No, it's not. It's just people are respectful. And
we're back to, this is where protocol helps. Be respectful. Just because somebody believes different doesn't automatically make them your enemy.
Right.
The one main thing most people have to remember, protocol can change most protocol can change a little from temple to temple.
All right.
Just because it's done this way, at certain things might be done at one temple, might not be done at another one. So if somebody at a temple maybe own a shop or something, they might only accept outside vendors that are from temple.
Gotcha.
Kind of like, Christians only dealing with other Christian.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm trying?
Yeah.
How do you say that? How would you say that?
Well, it kind of creates a network.
Right.
An internal network.
An internal network. So, yeah, that person might not carry a book or something because it's by a big publisher and they just want to promote people from their local community.
Right.
And that might be their protocol. And I'm sorry, just because you get a protocol lecture from somebody like that doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a witch lecture. You're getting a protocol lecture.
Right, which is completely different.
Right. So
I mean, it's one of those where this is the way we do things. Mm-hmm. Just trying to make you aware.
As a matter of fact, if I was going to another area where I knew there was another large temple or something like that, first words out of my mouth would be, okay, what's the protocol?
Right.
It would be the first questions I would start to ask.
Right. I want to make sure that I'm, not being inappropriate. So.
Or embarrassing anybody.
Right.
Or anything like that. I mean, you invited down by a high priest or a priestess or something, then you go down there and act the fool.
Right. I mean, you don't want to do that.
No. That's sure, because then they won't invite you back.
I know. Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning